What do you consider your heyday? What was the sort of highlight of your career?
Oh gosh, it had to be the 86, 87, 88, that the WrestleMania growing into its own after WrestleMania 1 and 2. It became a huge event. At WrestleMania 3 that I was part of, almost 90,000 people, the indoor attendance record. It's still held today. It hasn't been broken. That was probably the highest point, but it continued on after that. It never slowed down, and all the way through my almost 5 years with that company, we were every night, no matter where we were, the buildings were sold out, turn-away crowds. It was just a phenomenal thing. We touched a generation of people. We touched a whole generation. I say that because there's grandfathers and grandmothers who know us now, and there's the kids that were 7, 8, 9 years old back then. They now are in their 30s and 40s and have their own children, and they bring their children to see us to say, this is the guy your grandpa used to take me, and we watched them every Saturday morning on TV. So we actually did touch a whole generation of people, and that makes us uniquely different. We're walking, living cartoon characters.
So how did that feel? Like in the heyday when you're filling events like that, how did that feel?
You know, of course, the paychecks were great, so that was very gratifying. I don't think we appreciated it, or we realized it was so big, because we were doing it 300 days a year. We did 60, 70 shows straight in a row without a day off, and then you get 1 day off or 2 days off, and all you wanted to do then was wash your clothes, and you're back out again. And I was living in Calgary when I first started. The first time I left for 65 days. My son was crawling. When I came home after 65 days, I had 2 days off. He was walking. So, and living in Calgary and flying all over Canada and the America, and of course around the world, Calgary wasn't the greatest place to commute out of. So I needed to find a place, a central location. So I moved back to Memphis, where there was a good airport hub system for Northwest Airlines. And I'll give you an example. If I finished my tour in Miami, let's say, and I had 3 days off, well, from Miami to Calgary it takes 1 day to get home. And if I was starting back, say, from Calgary, and maybe I'm going to Halifax or to Moncton or to Texas, South Texas, I've got to leave 1 day early as a travel day to get there to work that night. So I really only had 1 day to really be at home. And then that 1 day consisted of getting clean clothes. We worked so much, and it was so hectic. My wife I set up a FedEx account. She would FedEx my clean clothes 3 or 4 days in advance to a hotel where I was going to be staying. I would get there, pick up my clean clothes, box up my dirty clothes, and ship them home.
For her to do at home?
Yeah, she'd do the laundry.
So how is this on your wife?
Sometimes we just throw the clothes away.
How is this on your wife? Like, she must have never seen you.
It was obviously very difficult. I mean, sometimes I'm home now during the course of a week or 2 weeks, or which I do the independent scene now, where I only work on weekends. So I have a lot of time off during the course of the week. And like the Christmas holidays, I'm usually home between mid-November to mid-January, not any work. And it's boring. The most boring thing in my life is to be home. And she's working now, so I'm home alone. Just me and my cat. And he can't talk. I have a great conversation with him, but I don't know if he understands me.
So you don't like to be home for long periods?
No, and so now I equate that to her staying home with a small baby for three months at a time without seeing me. My phone bill was the most expensive thing we had. It was $600-700 a month, just talking on the phone. Then we moved to Memphis, and I put her in a really bad situation. We started building a house from scratch. Her being Canadian, she didn't understand our southern dialect too well. And of course, there was a lot of the contract people were black Americans. And she did not understand them at all because most of them had a heavier southern accent than me. So we were on the phone sometimes 3-4 times a day with she's talking about this didn't get put in right and what am I going to do about this. And now she's away from her parents and her family that was left in Calgary, and she's in this city all alone with this baby, and it was tough. It was tough on her. She ended up being the strong one, because to me the hardest part's being at home. Anyone can come out here, ride these highways like we do, and live this life I live, I think, if they really work hard and try. But for someone to sit home and be lonely, that's like prison.
How long have you guys been married?
25 years. Yeah, 25 years.
Do you think that's because she doesn't have to see you very often?
Yeah. You laugh now, but it's true. They don't want me home. You know what they say when I come home? You are disrupting our schedule. So, yeah, they don't want me home. They don't know where I am now. If you call there, say, where is he? If my daughter answers, she'll say, I'm not sure. He took 3 bags, so he's probably going to be gone longer than the weekend, because I'll usually travel just 2 bags. If I'm going for an extended period of time, like this is a 5-day trip, then I have to bring more bags and more clothes. My son, he has no idea. He didn't know I was leaving. The other day he came down the steps and said, are you going somewhere? I said, yeah, I have to go to Canada this weekend. I didn't say where, so he don't know where I'm at. He don't know.
So how do you think
Canada's
it affected your your relationship with your kids and your parenting? If they didn't, when you were away so much when they were growing up, how do you think that? Do you think that affected it, or?
I'm sure it did. I was never away from my mother and father. We grew up on a small farm outside of Memphis, and my mother didn't work until I was grown up in my high school years. My dad had a city job where he worked mornings and was home in the daytime all day. We did the farm work. So to not to have the parent, but then I spent so many years on the road alone in hotel rooms that I grew accustomed to not having anyone around me, or not having friends or relationships. And I had been 12 years in the wrestling business when I met my wife, so my skin had become pretty tough. And for her, I think it was exciting to hear I'm meeting this person and we're going to travel and I'm going to move to the States and I'm a Canadian and I'm going to get to be down in the States and enjoy those things the Americans do, which could be good or bad. But the children, I never sat down with them and asked them, because I think until they get older, like my son now is old enough at 24, to give me a logical answer. My daughter, who's almost 17, I'm not sure whether she would say, yes, Dad, I do the things I do because you were never here for me. And I always tried to provide for them a positive way. I didn't shower them with these love offerings because Dad's been gone, so here, go buy anything you want. It was still, my house was, if you walked in my house today, you'd never know a wrestler lived there, because I never let my home become a shrine to me or my business. And I know fellas in the business who, they have one whole room of nothing but their their wrestling photos and their costumes. And it's like a shrine to them. And I try to keep my children, my family, away from that. We never talked the wrestling business at home or anything. I've never taught my son the wrestling business. I never taught my daughter anything other than to come and help me sell photos and take pictures. That's about all they know about it.
So when you're home, it's like you're a totally different life.
Yeah.
The persona's gone. So I mean, they don't, they don't have any kind of resentment for you.
As far as I know, I've not sat down and asked them, but if they do something that they have never blamed something that they've done on me because of what I do for a living. So apparently, now my daughter, she's never known anything other than me being gone, and neither is my son. So it's difficult to answer that question the way you put it, because I was never around anyway. I was never there for the PTA meetings. I was never there to take them to soccer practice and do all. I mean, I just was the dad that showed up sometimes at the soccer game going, wow, this is really fun. There was a time in my life where I was off for about a year, and I was with them for a year. But I think they got bored of me and wanted me to be gone again. So, I can be off now for a month, and they go, Dad, are you ever going to work again? When is he leaving?
Was there a certain celebrity for them to have you as a dad? Like, was that? Did the kids kind of say, "Wow"?
I don't know. I didn't. It's like I said, my home was never a shrine to me or to the wrestling business, and I never walked around the streets of my neighborhood with a jumpsuit on, with my hair fixed like Elvis. So, in my neighborhood, I was just Roy and Megan's dad. Nothing more, nothing less. I didn't have neighbors. Never came, knocked on the door for autographs. I'm sure they told their friends and they told their neighbors. On the odd occasion, I might sign something for the mail lady to give to one of her grandchildren or something. But other than that, it was one of those things where we totally downplayed it. Totally downplayed it. Or if someone said, "I'd really like to meet your dad," it's always been a no, because I don't want to mix my business life in with our personal life. If I'm in a restaurant and somebody recognizes me and comes over, I'll be cordial and talk to them and say something. But there comes a time when I have to shoo them away. If they overstay their time, and I'm having my dinner with my family, shoo, get away. I have to turn bad guy.